Well, here we are back in the shop. I have been doing some gardening, getting the garden planted. It was doing pretty well. Everything was starting to come up. I've had some major failures, and so I'm going to show you what's going on here as far as my garden. The corn that I planted has not come up. Maybe I would say 20% came up. I replanted the corn, and it is starting to come up, but still, again, not that great of a germination. I went to the store this morning where I get my seed, talked to the guy. He said it is just now, here we are in June, it is just now actually warm enough to start planting corn. So I bought some more corn seed. What I'm going to have to do is go, and what corn has come up, I'm going to have to pull up and get rid of, because planting corn, they will start to tassel out and pollinate all at the same time. If they're staggered like it is now, by the time this seed comes up, it'll be 3 weeks later than the other 20% that came up. And so they won't pollinate, but sporadically, the older corn versus the newer corn. So I got to start all over again, which I'm not real happy about. The bean plot was a total disaster. Planted the beans. I think the ground was just so wet that all my beans just basically rotted in the ground. So of that entire plot of beans, I have one row plus one bean plant. So in that one row of, I believe it's 20 beans, I have 11. So I'm going to keep them. They're mung beans. I've never had them. Don't know really what to expect. That's a dry bean. They're also known as adzuki beans, but since they came up, I'll keep them. Don't really have high hopes for them at this point, because everything has just been kind of a failure as far as this year's garden, but I'm not going to give up. I'm going to keep keeping on. So that's the corn. The corn will get ripped up, plant new corn. The beans, the bean plot, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to plant more corn. I went and bought, like I said today, I went and bought more seed, and I bought enough seed to plant the bean plot with corn and the corn plot with corn, and just nix the whole bean thing. I've got raised beds. I will plant green beans in. I've got one raised bed already that has got about 20 to 25 green beans planted in it. I will keep that and add more to it, and just keep pushing on. But my tomatoes were the ones that were transplants, and I had planted half of what my garden will hold in my tomato plot. So in my tomato plot, I have tomatoes and peppers, since they're in the same family. And my peppers were a little bit struggling. Some of them were doing real good, but the tomatoes were up and running. They were beautiful, beautiful. I had several different varieties that I was trying to test out this year to see if I can further narrow down which variety is the best here. And it was off and running. I was so proud. And then this happened. As I walk you out to the garden, I invite you to subscribe to our channel, where we show you real life. Not everything's perfect. Not everything works out like you want it to. Some things are just outside of our control. But join our little family. Hit the subscribe button, and if you like watching people give you real world garden problems, then click a like on this video, and I'll show you what has come to be the now tomato plot. So here's my tomato plot. So I have 24 tomato plants, or did. And I'm going to try to get you a close-up view, see if you can guess what happened to my tomatoes. There's one. Here's another. And another. Yet another. They pretty much all look the same. And it doesn't really take a rocket scientist to figure out what could have done such a job on every single tomato plant that I have. Every one of them. Here's the next row. Here's what they look like. That one actually has a leaf left. So you can see, I don't have a tomato. I don't have a single tomato. Out of 24 tomatoes, I have 0 tomatoes. Now what could have done something like this? Well, since the ground is wet, we have some evidence here. I don't know if you can see that or not. It looks like it's picking up pretty good. But there's a little bit of tracks here from a deer. So deer have come in and totally decimated. I mean, even pulled it up all the way, root, everything. And then what they didn't pull up, they just ate all the way down to the ground. And now they're starting to work on my pepper plants. Here's a pepper plant that got eaten off down to the ground. So deer, oh dear, those cute little Bambi-like creatures have robbed me of every stinking tomato that I own. Now I don't know about you, but that's enough to almost make a grown man cry. The amount of time and effort that you go and put into your garden, raising transplants back in the winter, planting them in the ground, watering them, talking to them, loving on them, showing them that you care, fertilizing, holding them, telling them it'll be okay. And then the deer come in and take every single one of them. Didn't even leave me one, not even one. So instead of 24 beautiful, vibrant, healthy, gorgeous tomatoes with blossoms, I have 0 tomatoes. And if I don't do something about it, then I won't have any peppers. It looks like they figured out the peppers probably taste real tasty, and so they will probably come back very soon and start eating the rest of my garden. So this weekend I was planning on replanting my corn. Like I said, I got up, went to the store, got my seed, and was just going to go ahead and just plant both plots with corn and get that off and running. But things have changed because of the deer. So now I'm going to put up an electric fence and hope that that keeps these creatures out of my garden. So I've never put up an electric fence. I did buy one last year. We have had deer problems in the past, but never this bad. I've never seen them come in and just decimate the garden this early. Usually they don't come in till probably middle of the summer, which again it's June, so it's still the beginning. It's not, I don't even believe it's actually technically summer yet, but I could be wrong. And then when they do, they mostly trample things. They'll trample and kill a few plants here and there. They'll eat a couple of plants here and there, but I've never seen them come in and just completely take out like every single plant that I have. And so I'm kind of I'd say I'm trying to think of a good word. I'm not happy about the situation. So I was hoping to go ahead and finish planting the garden and then put up the electric fence, but I'm going to try to do both as fast as I can. I've only got just a couple days to get all this work done. Putting up the electric fence will probably take me most of the weekend, seeing that I've never done it. But I've watched a bunch of videos in the past. I haven't watched any recently because, again, I wasn't planning on doing it today. But obviously I've got to do it today. So I'm going to get to work on the electric fence and bring you along for this project. And keep it on. That's all I'm going to do. I'm just going to keep it on. I'm not going to let this awful weather this year discourage me. It has been trying, to say the least. With the cold that will never end, and then the rain that will never end. And finally, I thought that we were done with that and could go on with my garden life. And then life gives you another problem called deer. And I tell you, I wish I was out here last night when they decided to come eat some supper, and I could have gently coerced them to go somewhere else, but it didn't happen. So enough jabbing. I'll get to the fence, see how that works for me. Well, I got my holes burned in the garden for my T-posts after I kind of got a plan on where to put them. Everything I've read, it doesn't say anything about how far away spacing on T-posts, and I kind of get it because it's not really a fence that is structural. It's just something to hold the wire. So what I did was I went out and I measured with marking spray paint every 12 foot, because obviously I don't want to put any more T-posts than I need to, because every year I'll have to pull them up and put them back down for my garden. So I went with, my garden is what I thought was about roughly 60 by 60. Turns out it's about 60 by 68, which kind of threw me off on two of the sides, being that I was marking every 12 foot. So I just, at that point, I went around the entire perimeter marking every 12 foot, and then I started moving where exactly to place my T-posts based on where the actual middle of each plot is, and split the difference in some areas. So they're not exactly, spaced equally, but it doesn't matter, and I don't care. It's exactly where I need them, and it'll be plenty enough T-posts to hold wire. So I'm okay with that. I've got my little ATV here set up with the cart. I've got some T-posts. I've got the T-post banger in, or whatever that thing's called, an 18-pound T-post sledgehammer thing. And now I'm going to go out and start driving. That's what it is. T-post driver. How about that? Go out there and start beating some T-posts in the ground. See how far I can get on this project today. If you can't tell, it's hot, muggy, humidity's high, but I don't mind it really. I like the heat. I don't like the cold. So get out there and drive in 20 T-posts. Now, 4 of them are going to be set up for irrigation. So I'll have to do those last, because I'll have to get a ladder, because I'm going to be putting 6-foot T-posts in everywhere except for 4. And 4 of those will be 8-footers, and I'm not near 8 foot tall. So I'll do those last with a ladder, but I'll go ahead and see how many of these I can get nailed in here in a short amount of time. Well, I got all the T-posts in, and I've got my insulators on. These are called Lockjaw, and I bought them off of Amazon. They had the best reviews, and they work really well. I'll show you a little bit more about them when I do this poly wire, because that's the next step. So what I did was I set them at, they say for rabbits and small creatures that you want to set them somewhere between 4 and 6 inches tall. Some people said 4, some said 5, some said 6. So I just split the difference and went 5 inches. So I got 5 inch there, and then the second one's at 1 foot, and then 2 foot, and then 3 foot. I went with 4 wire, simply because I have the wire. The roll that I bought is 1,300 foot. This should be around 500 foot, and I can reuse it every year. So that'll give me, you know, easy two full uses. Once that wire starts wearing out or what have you, I can use it all new wire and string it up again. So that's where I'm at right now. I'm going to try to do this in one continuous wire instead of using jumpers. If you know what those are, I'll explain it after I do the wiring, and I will let you know if I was able to run one continuous wire for this project, just because it'll make dismantling it a lot easier. I've got my my little solar charger Energizer in the sun. I did put it on a trickle charger, and it was full, but just topping it off, since it's been a year, nothing's been running to it. So, you know, but you have some losses just from sitting, but it's topped off, and I'm just keeping it topped off while I finish this project. So I will run my wire, and I will let you know how that works for me, and hopefully I will be able to have this project at least completed enough. I don't have exactly everything that I need, and I'm not going to run to the store because I can get by with what I've got, and I've just got to get this done so that the deer don't come back for another buffet in my garden. All right, so I got my fence up, but it's not got any power to it yet. So with this poly string, it's super easy. You just basically, I started here and tied a knot, and these little brackets here are such that you can put a handle so you can get in and out of the gate. They've got a tension built into them here to keep your string tight, but I just tied off here with this one, and then I went around and completed the loop here on this end of this handle, and then when you connect this handle, it completes the circuit. I was going to do one complete string, but I just couldn't figure it out, so I didn't do that. I did 4. So I just basically did that 4 times. I tied here and here and here and here, and each one of those is its own individual string, and then these are what they call the jumpers. And so that all 3 strands will be electrified, I tied this here to the top, and then I just looped it inside of here. Let me see, right there. And I just looped it in between. So I tied it on the top and bottom, and then I just wove it between the different connectors. Now I'm assuming that'll work. I don't know why it wouldn't, unless for some reason it's not making contact with one of those metal pieces, but I think it'll work. Anyway, that's what I did. So now I have to, I'm going to drive in 3 6-foot grounding rods over here, and this will be where I put my Energizer. So I'll go ahead and do that and get to it. Well, I finished the electric fence, and I will say this is it's not hard, really. It's got some labor to it because of the fence posts, but once you drive the fence posts in, the rest of it's really easy. Like I said, I showed you where I was just tying, you know, to this as a start. This is my handle, and then what I did was I just ran this through, but I found that wasn't going to work, so I went back and untied. If you can see here, I untied and then tied it to that, because my fear was if it just went through the metal and did not make contact, then it wouldn't energize.
that section of the fence. So I just redid it, and that took about 2 or 3 minutes. So what I think I will do is just to make it easier to take down and put back up, I think I'll untie it again and then tie it to each individual section, so that instead of tying it to the string section, if that makes sense. If not, then just trust me, it'll make it a little easier for me when I take it down. But all in all, I built me a little stand for this thing, because if you notice, the wiring comes in from the bottom, and I just didn't like the thoughts of it just sitting on the dirt. So so I built me a little stand. It's it's for function, not beauty, so don't criticize what it is. It's just something to secure it. Unfortunately, these Parmax do not come like a lot of them that you find that will have the back of the unit itself is made to attach to a T-post. These do not, and I find that that's pretty pathetic on their part. You can see right now I've got it off. I don't have it turned on. I'm just letting it get as much sunshine as possible just to top off that battery. And then before it gets dark, I'm going to run out here and turn it on, and that should protect my garden. I did test it with a voltmeter. It's an electric fence tester, and it said it was running at 3.9 kilovolts. So I have no idea what that means. Based on what I could find, it said that you can secure cattle with 2 kilovolts. So I'm thinking if this is double that, it should work on deer. If you know better than I do, which is I don't know anything about electric fencing, let me know. But this is and I could have gotten more strength if I'd have used less than 4 wires. The more wires you use, the less wattage you're going to end up with, because you're taking maximum and dividing it by however number of strands you have. However, I like it. I definitely do not want to touch it. I am pretty sure that that would be an extremely unpleasant thing, and I will promise you I will get shocked at some point, just because that's how my life works. But I will definitely not do it on purpose, and probably once will be enough, although I'll probably get shocked 3 or 4 times. Anyway, this is done. I am real pleased with it. The only thing I'm going to do is I want to add another handle here at the bottom. I only had 3, so I'll put a handle on the bottom just in case I want to roll in some kind of cart or anything such as that. And then on that far section, because this is kind of one of my walkways, my pathways here, you can kind of see there's a big gap between here and here, and that's on purpose. This whole area right here is a walkway, and then there's one on this side over here, and so it's like a cross, and it divides my garden into 4 plots. So you have basically this giant section is not just one garden, it's actually 4 quadrants that are totally separate with walkways between. So if you can imagine, it's got a big giant cross in the center, and that's your walkways. But I did tie ribbon just to get the deer's attention. They say that helps as well. They say since they have poor depth perception, what I will do is when I get some more T-posts, I'm going to put some T-posts here for my cucumbers. I'll tie ribbons to them as well, and then I'm going to do a Florida weave on my tomatoes that are dead because of the deer. But I think I have 10 more on the front porch that is the very last, and I'm so thankful that I have extra because of what the deer did to me. So I believe I have 10. I'm not sure on that, but in the ballpark of 10. So I'll come out here and plant those. My corn, you can see way back here, that's the corn I got to pull up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give this a decent watering, not a real hard watering, but a decent watering, just such that the ground's good and moist. It'll help some of these plants that are not doing too well. That's mostly from transplant shock, and I don't know if they'll grow out of it or not. But what we'll do is get the ground real good and moist. Hopefully tomorrow when I get off work, I'll have enough time to plant my tomatoes and replant my corn. If not, I'll get at least some of that done. Planting the tomatoes will be my first priority, and then I'll start pulling up the corn and replanting the corn. I'll definitely have all that done by this week. But I am real pleased with this project. I am still not that happy about the deer, but hey, you just gotta keep trying. That's all you can do.
Well, like I said, this project wasn't hard, but I am burnt up. I mean, look at that. I am beet red. Whew, man, that sun cooking me. But man, am I proud of my fence. I may not have much of a garden this year, but I got a beautiful electric fence, and that counts for something, right? So at least it looks like a professional garden, even if it doesn't have any vegetables in it. I'm still pretty proud of it. So anyway, I appreciate you watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, give us a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel, join our little family, and I'll see you on the next adventure. Thanks.